invigorate it, but there used to be a thing called Pub Scrawl, and Pete McKee was one of the organisers of it, curated it, and it's where 10 or 12 artists, sculptors, whatever, would take over 10 or 12 venues in the town centre. It was all organised, it was ticketed, and you'd set off at specific times with so many people at that venue, so many people at that venue, all with guides. When they'd done whatever it was in that place, they then were taken to the next, and so on, in this great big sort of cycle going around. And Pete McKee used to curate it. This particular year, I'm not sure what year it was, maybe 2009, I'm not sure. And he said, I fancy taking part. He said, can I have your pub for the day? I said, sure. And it was on a Sunday. So there was special beer brewed for it or whatever. And then all the pictures that were in the front room were all taken down. Himself and his boys came in and did all this. And he had painted 6 paintings specially for the day. And they were based on the mural on the wall out there, which is the Snug, which, by the way, is a geolocator. If you go on Google Earth and put in the Snug, that's what comes up here, this building. So that's the fictional Frank and Joyce, that couple. And he did these 6 pictures where the very young Frank, there he is. The first picture is him sitting at the bar, turning around, looking into the lounge where there's a girl sitting on her own. The next one is him chatting her up. The third one is the wedding day. The fourth one is wetting the baby's head. The fifth one, quite discernibly in the corner of the lounge there, is the girl having her first legal drink on her 18th birthday with mum and dad. And the last one is the old couple on their 50th wedding anniversary sitting at the end of the bar. Barbara and I made an installation, a 1950s wedding breakfast under cellophane, spotted dick, pork pie and all that. And so when people had seen all that, they came through into this room, which was completely blacked out, just black curtains everywhere. And 20 at a time they came in, and Pete's wife was there in black bombazine, you know. And then the curtains parted. There was a table over there with an empty pint pot and a condolences card and some withered flowers and a voiceover by Joe Scarborough. And it was something like, and she were a grand lass and a lovely lass, and we used to walk down Spittle Hill and then go down to market, and then she's not here anymore. She's and it broke down in tears. So at the end of which, everybody, also in tears, was taken out the back door by the guide to be taken on to the next venue. The next lot came in. So a few days later, Joe Scarborough came in. I'd not seen for a long time, and he used to sit in the corner in there with his Audrey, his wife, lovely lady, and she sadly passed away. And he's got his studio down on his boat on the canal there. And when he came in, I said, that voiceover was, you know, you could have paid Gielgud or somebody 50,000, you wouldn't have got anything as good as that. He said, he's a bugger, McKee. He said, he came down that boat and he said, Joe, just read this out loud, will you? I said, what? He said, just read it out loud. So I started reading it and I thought, well, that's me and Audrey. I said, I can't. And he pulled his iPhone out of his pocket and said, it's all right, you already have. He's a bugger. So anyway, that's what people heard. Very, very clever, you know. Anyway, on the Monday, Pete came in to take it all down, and then he said, what do you think? I said, a tour de force, absolutely brilliant. He says, which one do you like best? I said, I think that one, wetting the baby's head. He said, well, you can have it. So he left it, because it's in this room, of course. So there we are, this is, as you can see. And there's Frank and wetting the baby's head.
Is that the one that got nicked? Was there one night when...
No, that was the musical legend in Fagan's. When Simon, I said, oh bloody hell, something nicked. And he said, well, I'll get that back. I said, what? He said, and he just went on his the technology. And of course he had the nightclub himself. So he got a fast contact with every bar in Sheffield, everybody who ran a bar in Sheffield, basically in town centre. And he said, Simonson has nicked me from Fagan's page. He said, all right. Anyway, he turned up in the wine bar, and the guy already knew they felt they were trying to sell it. And the bar manager, whatever he was, said, can I have a look? Can I pass it to you? And he passed it to him like that. And he said, you just nicked that from Fagan. The police are on the way. Anyway, they're not making it. So. This is called Musical Legends in Fagans. It's a copy, not the original, otherwise it'd be in a bank vault. It's a Pete McKee, of course. And it was Pete who gave it me. But the backstory is that Tony Christie had heard one of Richard Hawley's albums, and Tony's son, Sean, who is also his agent, rang Richard's manager, whatever, Graham Wrench, and said, my dad wants to make an album called Made in Sheffield, where he sings all the songs, but all the songs he sings are by Sheffield musicians, and he'd like you to produce it. So they did that. It was down at Yellow Arch, and during the production, Monday to Friday, every tea time, Tony Christie and Richard were in here with technicians, musicians, and so on. And Pete McKee imagined they were all in this room at the same time. They were all in this room, but not at the same time. But he imagined they were. And he brought this picture in, and he said as he walked through the door with it, I've had to redecorate your snug, because against the woodwork you wouldn't be able to see them. So he said, I've wallpapered the snug for you, as you see on the picture. And it's Alex Turner from the Arctic Monkeys, Jarvis Cocker, Tony Christie, Phil Oakey from Human League, and Richard. So it's called Musical Legends in Fagans, and it's in the snug here, as you can see quite clearly. So very close association with that and this place.
Right, Tom, is there anything else that you're really keen to cover? Because I'd like you to talk about some of the people in the pictures in the back.
What about the McKee?
Yeah.
I think that's worth a
little
little
nice to get things in the
because there's a little story with it. So.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, that'd be perfect.